guys, it's Jessii. What's up? I think this is the first time I'm not wearing eyeliner in a video. My eyes are naked right now, guys. So before I get into this V-time, I just wanted to tell you guys that I'm so excited because right after I film this video, I'm gonna film a back to school giveaway video. I am so excited to give you guys things. Is that weird? Because I don't think so. So yeah, tomorrow expect a giveaway video. I got so much stuff for you all. I'm just excited to show it all. So I know you've read the title of this video and probably freaked out just a bit. It makes me sound like a horrible person, doesn't it? Jessii broke into a cottage? Why would she do that? But I promise you, I had a very good reason to break into a cottage. And I actually never thought I would ever say something like that. What a weird sentence. But let me just tell you the whole story of my cottage experience this weekend so you can just get a better understanding. And yes, it happened this past weekend. It's funny because I had another V-time planned for today, but because I had this crazy weekend, I was like, no, I gotta make a V-time about it while it's like fresh in my mind. So yes, here we go. So for the last month, my friend Matt and I have been looking around online to find a really awesome cottage to rent for the last week of August. Most of the places we found online were really expensive. And I know that's usually expected when you rent out a cottage. Cottages are generally expensive, but we were really hoping to find something a little bit more in our price range because most of us are students or have just graduated like I have, so we put all of our money towards school, so you know, we're a little cheap right now. We don't have money to just throw around. We don't have money coming out of our ears. Finally, Matt found this cottage, and from the pictures the owner of this cottage put online, it looked pretty decent. In the pictures, it showed this large kitchen, 2 beautiful bedrooms with hardwood flooring, and this nice couch area with like a table. It looked nice for the price, okay? And it looked very sanitary, which is something that is very important to me. So, because of the low cost and the great looking pictures of this cottage, we booked it. Well guys, let me just say that pictures can lie to you. Do not trust photos. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And we just learned this the hard way. But because of what happened to us, I got a good story time out of it. So in a way, it's good and bad at the same time. Is it horrible that I'm happy when crazy things happen to me because I'm like, I can make a V-time out of it? I leave the house and hope I run into trouble so I have a V-time for next week. I'm just kidding. Or am I? So just this past Saturday, my friends and I finally went up to Wasaga Beach to stay at this cottage for one night. After about 2 hours of driving, we arrived. The cottage was about 7 times smaller than we thought it was gonna be. You know those garden sheds that some people keep in their backyard? It was like that, but just slightly bigger. And that wasn't really the bad part. As long as I have a place to sleep, it doesn't really matter to me what the size is. It just caught me off guard, that's all. What really matters to me is cleanliness. I just want to stay somewhere clean. And let me say, we walked into that cottage, and that owner must have taken those photos way back in the 90s because everything that was in those photos online looked about 20 years older in person. Let me just go through everything that we discovered in this place. The floor and the walls were peeling. The entire house smelled like an outhouse. The picture frames on the walls were sideways. The bed sheets were damp and dirty. The couches had these weird stains. And it was so weird because there was this huge creepy red stain on the floor that looked like the area that someone was murdered. It looked like a blood stain. And what was creepier, at least what I found, was on the corner of one of the walls, these children had written things like, I miss my mommy, I just want to go home, someone let me out of here, I don't want to be here anymore. It was just these creepy sentences children had written on the wall. What was this place used for? But they looked really old, so I mean, I think they even put a date like 2007 or something beside them. If you were one of those children, please tell me you're okay now. Tell me you're alive. This whole cottage had danger, leave now before you die, written all over it. Not literally, that would be weird. Now you're probably wondering, Jessii, why didn't you just leave? Okay, because these are the reasons why we stayed. We had driven all the way to the cottage cottage and there was nowhere else to stay because Wasaga is a really popular place. So if you want to book a cottage kind of near the beach, you have to give the owners like 3 weeks notice or a month notice in order to get a cottage anywhere near like Wasaga Beach. So there was that. And also because we had luckily brought our own bed sheets and pillows, so we were able to just take off all the gross ones that were on the bed and replace it with ours. Thank goodness we thought ahead. And secondly, because some of the guys brought blow-up mattresses so they could just sleep on those, which were clean. We were prepared. Thank goodness. If only we were able to call Mr. Clean to organize our cottage. I guess the thing that kind of annoyed me was that the owner of this cottage made the place out to be amazing, clean. Like the pictures were definitely out of date. And I knew he was doing this so that people would just rent the cottage. And I get it, like some people just need money and that's fair, but there's a point where you just gotta be honest, you know? And maybe the guy who owned the cottage didn't have enough money for repairs, which is fair enough, but at least be honest about it, you know? Because it's not fair that we rent it, come all the way there. It's really inconvenient. You gotta let people know what to expect. But even though we had this weird looking cottage, I knew that it wouldn't ruin our trip because I had all my friends with me and we still planned on having a great time. We brought board games with us, music, snacks, and we had a private beach that was a 2-minute walk from our cottage. Hell yeah. We can make this work, okay? You always gotta look at the positives. It was only for one night anyways, you know? You can't be a negative Nancy. That is a weird saying, right? Like, why Nancy? Why did they pick on Nancy for this quote? By the way, I'm getting into the breaking into a cottage part very soon. I just wanted to start the story from the beginning of the trip so you kind of get an idea of what's going on. You gotta visualize and understand everything. I'm creating a movie in your mind. I am controlling your thoughts. You can't escape. So after we unpacked all of our stuff, we decided to go down to the beach. Why am I doing crazy arm movements again? It just makes me seem so enthusiastic. After we unpacked all of our stuff, we went down to the beach. Imagine if I acted like that though. Would you guys still watch me? I wonder if any of you would if I like made extreme arm movements. That'd be weird. So we go down to the beach and we bring our towels to sit on, which is what you usually do when you go to a beach. We brought chips, we brought our board games, and we find this awesome spot to all sit by the water. We get all set up and comfy, start playing our games, and about 10 minutes after we've been sitting there, it just starts to pour with rain. The sky just peed all over us. Why now? So we all unfortunately have to pack back up and walk back to the cottage, and while we're on our way back, we decide, why don't we just make some dinner while we're waiting for the rain to stop? This small barbecue came with the cottage, so we decide to just make some hamburgers. It's easy, convenient, and available. It's fine, we're good. We're gonna make some hamburgers. And the barbecue didn't work. It just refused to function. One of my guy friends kept trying to turn it on and nothing was happening, but there was this one point where he was leaning over the barbecue, still trying to get it to work, and this giant blast of fire just shoots up. It was like a 1 second long shoot of fire and literally almost burns his face off. He turns to me and he's like, are my eyebrows still there? Jess, are my eyebrows still there? But then after that random shoot of fire, nothing. It would not turn on. That was the barbecue's way of throwing a tantrum, I guess. It did not want to cook burgers. The fire has spoken. So we resort to pizza. Pizza is always a good way to go when you decide to just give up on cooking. Get the pizza guys to do it. By the way, side note, I forgot to mention that the toilets and the bathroom in this cottage was horrendous. You had to hold down the flushing handle for about a minute in order for it to flush. It was very slow. So if you plan on pooping, be prepared to hold down that handle for 5 minutes. I hope you brought a magazine because the toilet was stubborn, I tell you. So let's just get into the breaking into the cottage part because I know that's why you came here. You saw the title and you were like, what the heck is going on, Jessii? Did you become a criminal over the weekend? So here's how it begins. Around midnight, all my friends and I decide to have a bonfire. There was this like fire pit at the back of the cottage and it was like a communal fire pit. So about 6 other cottages shared this same fire pit with us. Sharing is caring. So my friends and I did not realize that the door to our cottage automatically locks when you leave. We thought that if we just went outside to this fire pit and didn't lock the door with the key on our way out, we would still still be able to go back in. We thought the door would just stay unlocked since we didn't lock it, like most doors do. But no, little did we know that while we were outside enjoying our s'mores, we had locked ourselves out of the cottage at midnight, pitch black, only a fire to light our way. So we literally could not. Hello, bedroom. I feel a little bit exposed right now. You were not supposed to see my messy room. I can't depend on my backdrops anymore. So as I was saying, we literally could not get into our cottage. The key that we had for the cottage was sitting on the kitchen table inside. There we couldn't get it. And I mean, there was no way we were gonna camp outside. First of all, it was kind of cold, and there's like weird people outside at night. As dirty as the cottage was, I'd rather be sleeping in there than outside on the grass. So our only option was to break in. We couldn't even call the guy who owned the cottage because it was like 1 in the morning. He was sleeping far away. It was up to us to get into the cottage. We tried to break in a way that would create the least amount of damage. There was this small window in one of the bedrooms that was just slightly cracked open. There was this little screen that covered the window, and my boyfriend had to break it. He had to just rip the screen right off the window in order to push the window all the way up to get inside. Not only did he have to just lift up the window and break the screen, he had to like take some of it apart so he can actually fit inside the little open space. We must have looked so bad to the cars that were passing by. A bunch of people in the dark at the side of a cottage taking apart a window and crawling inside. How sketchy is that? I'm actually really surprised that no one called the cops on us. Is this like a common thing that happens? Maybe the people who like rents out the cottage always gets themselves locked out, so maybe they're always just trying to break in. Maybe like everyone's just used to it. They're sitting there on the front lawn like, oh, people breaking in again. They forgot the key. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, we looked pretty sketchy. So Kyle was finally able to fit into this window, and he walked inside and let us back in the cottage. I felt really bad, and we obviously planned on paying for it. Like, this guy already seemed to struggle keeping his cottage up to date and clean. The last thing we wanted to do was add to the damages. So yes, we were gonna pay for it. Before you guys freak out, it's all handled. I mean, he probably should have told us to have the key with us at all time, because we did not think that by just walking out on the front porch of the cottage, the door would instantly lock. I have never used a door that did that. But yeah, after that happened, we always made sure to take the key like wherever we went. That key was our baby. And then we went down to the beach one last time before we all went to bed. It kind of sucked because one of the blow-up mattresses that we had just kept deflating. So I felt bad for one of the guys who had to sleep on that because he was constantly like pumping it up, and it made that like wheezing sound as it deflated while he was lying on it. Pretty funny, but not for him. Oh, and in the middle of the night, because I was on one of the beds, I felt this like tickling around my hair and my ear, and I put my hand by it to kind of itch it, and there was this giant black beetle, and I was like, what the heck? It just crawled out, just all chill, just crawled out. Like, what? I did not give you permission to sleep there. My ear is not your own personal cottage, okay? But honestly, all in all, we did still have a blast at this cottage. When you're surrounded by friends, I feel like you're able to automatically turn any bad situation into a good one because you're all together and you can all still find ways to have fun. I was really just listing off the unfortunate parts of this trip, but it was still enjoyable. And I was able to make a good story time out of it, so there you go. And it actually wasn't as bad as this one time my sister went to Wasaga with some friends and they got a motel, and in the washroom of the motel there was cockroaches crawling around. Oh, and get this, there was this one point at the end of the night we're all sitting in the cottage looking around at the mess, and Kyle, my boyfriend, goes, "We should have just stayed at my cottage." And we all just look over at him like, "You tell us this now?" This is the appropriate time for an eye twitch. I can't twitch my eye. It's not working. Like, this whole time, we could have stayed in his cottage. I mean, technically it was his cousin's cottage, but still. So anyways, my back to school giveaway video is gonna be tomorrow, so please stay tuned for that. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be wearing the same shirt in that video because I'm filming it right after this one, so no judgment. All of my social media information is in the description, along with my vlog channel and my P.O. box information. And yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and until tomorrow, guys, bye!